Hey everybody, welcome to Example of Play. This video is going to be the start of a gameplay series on Armored Brigade II. I noticed that over the last 6 months, year, I've made a lot of different tutorial series for games, and a lot of times at the end of those, I'll promise, hey, I'm going to do just some straight gameplay of this game at the end of it, and go back and visit those games after I finish kind of the cut and dry, like here's the mechanics of how the game works. And a lot of times I don't follow up on that promise. I kind of never quite get around to just playing the game and showing you what just like the normal gameplay looks like. So I want to start correcting that. I'm going to start with Armored Brigade 2, but I want to kind of get in the rhythm of having kind of one game I'm doing a tutorial series on and one game that I'm just doing straight gameplay on, and kind of mix it up, give some variety for you, some variety for me, depending on what you're looking for. Ooh, you might have heard some thunder there. There's a little thunderstorm outside for me. So Armored Brigade 2, since the last time I played it, it's had several free patches. I know that there's DLC coming for this game. At some point, probably by the end of this year, you're going to start seeing new factions in paid DLC, just like with the first game. But they've been updating it a lot with a lot of free patches that have improved the graphics, fixed bugs, made the AI a little bit better, made the game just continues to get a little bit better with these regular patches. But they even add some new scenarios, some new units. And so in one of the recent patches, they added 2 whole campaigns. So as opposed to just the dynamically generated campaigns that are kind of random, these are handmade linear campaigns. So there's 2 that they added. Western Guard, where you play as the Soviet Union in 1975 against an American force. And that might be a pretty fun one to play at some point, but for this video, I'm going to start the Midsummer Inferno campaign, which sounds really cool. It's 1991, and you play as Finland holding off a Soviet invasion. So a more modern period. Kind of the cool thing with Armored Brigade 2 is that it spans like 30, 40 years of different equipment and stuff. So you get a really great variety of what's possible in these scenarios. And then this one has the neat theme that it's midsummer in Finland. So like even at night, it's basically like dawn, twilight all the time. So that makes it kind of an interesting time to fight these battles. And it promises to be some good scenarios. There's 4 scenarios in this campaign. I think it's kind of gives like a sort of an idea of them. Desperate defense along a river, and then ruthless urban combat, and then ambushes on a storm-swept highway, and then a battle for an airbase. So that sounds pretty good. That's a pretty good variety of different scenarios to play through. So let's load it up and try this thing out. All right, so we're in the first scenario, breakthrough at, I'm not going to pronounce this right, Kimajoki, something, probably wrong. Throw it in the comments if you know how to pronounce that. So it's June 1991. It's 2:30 a.m. So we'll see in a second that it's 2:30 a.m., but it's dawn. Basically, you can see up there. Visibility out to 1,600 meters makes for an interesting time to be fighting. And basically, we have Soviet forces attacking. Enemy mechanized forces are massing southeast of town, intending to capture the town. And then Soviet recon elements have already probed the roads. They're already on the way. We are facing a tank company of T-72As. That's not good. 2 mechanized infantry companies in BMPs and mechanized artillery. So we're going up against a pretty strong sounding force here. We expect them primary thrust directly from the south and then a flanking maneuver from the east. Okay. And then our defenses. We've got 1 full strength infantry company, a reduced strength infantry company, a platoon of T-55s, so T-55s versus T-72s, and then 2 sections of medium mortars, scouts, and we do have some artillery support, so hopefully we got a decent amount of artillery to help us out, because it definitely sounds like we are outnumbered and outgunned here. Our mission is to hold these objectives: Arn, Berta, Celsius, deny Soviets attacking the town, and don't let them cross the river. And then execution, we have some scouts, remain hidden, and then we got infantry units. We need to hold our ground in urban terrain and wooded areas to inflict casualties on the enemy mechanized forces that close in. We got T-55s, try to ambush the T-72s because direct combat's not going to be good. And we got mortars and artillery to try to help us out. Yeah, anticipate enemy artillery barrages. and just keep dispersed and remain mobile. This, yeah, sounds like it might be a tough one here. Get a look at the map. Now, I've played Armored Brigade 2. I did a whole tutorial series on it, so I remember mostly how to play it, but it's been a minute since I've really played like a full scenario, so we'll see how it goes here. But yeah, you can see it is 2:30 in the morning, but it's like dawn because it is midsummer in Finland, which whoever had the idea to do that as kind of the theme of a campaign, very nice. And here's our force setup here at the beginning. We've got our T-55s here at the back, which, yeah, those poor guys. 3 T-55s versus a company of T-72s. Not great odds. We've got our mortars. So we got 4 medium mortars available. They do have 53 rounds, so a decent amount of medium mortars. Let's check our air support. Yeah, no air support. Artillery. All right, okay, nice. So we got 12 guns and 576 rounds of HE available. Some illumination, which I don't think we'll need, some smoke. So I will want to set up some fire missions for sure to kind of pre-positioned defensive artillery fire because we're going to need it. But 576 rounds, that's pretty good. Now, our forces on the ground. Got an HQ here, command team. We've got infantry company over here, kind of spread through this part of town, and then infantry company up here. And oh, a sniper squad. That's nice. Won't do us any good against those T-72s, but it's always fun to have a sniper team. And then our objectives we need to hold: Celsius, Berta, Arn. So kind of that's the axis of where we're trying to defend. And then hopefully we have a big red arrow on the map showing us that the enemy mechanized force is coming from that way. And they are going to be coming at us. And then, as the briefing mentioned, a flanking move to the east. So, yeah, probably over here on our right flank, we got this river. Should make it pretty easy to hold that side. So that's locked down. And then on our left flank, we have some impassable terrain over here, so we know they're not going to get all the way back around us. But there's this big forest with a road cutting through it. That road comes from the impassable area, so we don't need to worry about it. But there's this road. I think this road right here is going to be, we're going to need to defend that. But luckily, we've got some infantry available to move over there. And then, of course, we expect probably these open fields are going to attack across that. We'll need to try to hold. Holding Celsius might not be possible. We might try it, but probably the thick part of our defense is going to be here. The main thing I've learned in previous battles is don't put your infantry right on the edge of town because they're just going to get blasted as soon as the enemy sees them. So probably set them up in kind of this second line of buildings. We might yield Celsius to them, make that into a killing ground for our guys, and then try to hold them off, not let them get to Berta. We can. And then over here on the left, there's some roads cutting through here too, so we'll probably need to cover this intersection, this railroad line here. We need to cover that a little bit, and then cover here thickly, and then definitely defend this road, because I feel like that flanking move, if I was them, that's where I would go. Attack through there with at least some kind of force to try to get in behind the town. If we could have forces at this intersection, that would be fantastic, but they're all the way back here, and they're on foot. And infantry are pretty realistically slow in this game. Running them all the way up to there would take a while, so we might have to settle for holding this intersection here. And then out here, we got some scout teams. So I'll probably put these guys somewhere and just hide them so they can see this road for sure, because that road leads right down to here. And then this little gap here between the forests. So if the enemy's going to be moving, they got mechanized infantry. We could expect them to move fast down that road and potentially down through here into town. So we want to keep eyes on this kind of area, this road for sure. And then we can expect probably the tank attack, I would guess, is going to come across this open ground here. And the biggest part of the attack might have come across here, is what it looks like. We've got the big red arrow telling us that. Okay, so, and then other support, I have 4 TRPs. which you can throw down, which, yeah, they're pretty big. So, yeah, the scale of Armored Brigade 2 is always amazing. That this is actually like just a medium-sized map. It's not even that big of a map, really. Our TRP, we have 4. Each one's going to cover a pretty big chunk of the map. We zoom out, if you haven't played the game, you can basically draw whatever map you want to play out of this whole area, and this is just one of many areas of the game world that you can play in. All right, so I'm gonna pause here. I'll take a few minutes to kind of set up my defense. Then we'll look at that, and then we'll get started. I don't want to make you watch a whole thing of me figuring out where to position all my guys in artillery missions and stuff. But I'll do that and be right back. All right, so here we are. I've kind of set up my defense, given initial orders. So my scouts are flexible. I can put them wherever I want on my half of the map. I've got them kind of set up where hopefully they'll have good line of sight to see these approach roads, see the middle here. These guys over here on the far right, so they're kind of set up where they can see back towards the town. They have really good visibility from there. And I expect the enemy's going to go right past these guys, and hopefully they'll be able to call out artillery throughout the whole scenario. I think that's a great spot right there. And then these guys can see everything out there really far forward, what's coming. These guys are on this road over here that I am highly suspicious of. They're all set to hold fire so that hopefully the enemy will just roll right by. These guys are in a building right there. Hopefully the enemy won't notice them. They'll just cruise right on by. And then these guys kind of here in the middle so they can see things. I've set up a few artillery missions. And so in this game, you can set up artillery missions. It takes time. If you set them during the scenario, it takes time for them to get aimed and adjusted. But if you set them up here at the beginning, I have the TRPs, which are the little green crosses. Can't see them now, but the green circles cover most of this whole area of the map is within the TRP, target reference point. So we'll make calling in artillery faster. I had 12 tubes to use, and so I've kind of used up all, but I've left one just to give myself a little flexibility. Basically, you have to commit those guns, the tubes, to a mission for it to be set up and aimed, and then like how many volleys it's going to fire, so how many rounds are going to be expended on each one, and then once they're set up, you can manually trigger them to fire. You can also just hit the uh-oh button, fire all, just have them all fire at once. But they are these purple boxes, so I've got one set up here. So if the enemy comes down this road, we're ready to blast them here in the forest. Out here, I figured kind of at this bend in the road, maybe they'll slow down a little bit here, and my guy will have good visibility, drop rounds on them there. And then kind of same thing, if they come down this road right down the middle, they might slow down here where these buildings are and stuff. You could drop some on them there. And then kind of a big one here that is right on the edge of town. So I'm not going to try to occupy Celsius. I'm just going to occupy kind of this edge of it and let them come to me. And so if they get up here and they start engaging with my guys, hopefully I can drop a big artillery barrage on this wide area. That's like the biggest area you can set. No, I really like these kind of narrow ones to try to focus fire in. But since this is such a big wide area, we're going to go with that. And then, of course, we can readjust during the scenario, but it's useful to set these up ahead of time, kind of anticipate where the enemy might show up. And then my infantry back here, I can't adjust them. They're fixed in place. So in most scenarios, you have enough forces that I try not to move each individual unit. You can, of course, you're going to be effective doing that. But I am playing with the command delay, so once a unit is given, like a squad is given an individual order, as opposed to like the entire platoon or even the entire company, it takes longer to give them another order because they're going to be less in contact with their leader. And so any future orders during the scenario are going to have a delay on them. So here at the beginning, though, you can give everyone commands of where you want them to go. And given the nature of this scenario where we're defending, we're in a smaller force defending against a strong attacker. I try to position my guys to give them all the best chance to hold back the enemy. And then you'll notice little red dots, red yellow dot on them. They're all set to fire only at effective weapons range. So that's another lesson I learned in some earlier scenarios, is especially like this when you're defending a lighter force, if defending against a heavier force, you want your guys to hold their fire until it's going to be in the effective range versus max range, because you want every shot to count, especially when we're going up against T-72s and mechanized infantry attacking us. My guys do all have some sort of anti-tank weapon in every squad. They got some laws. They only have like 3, so we want each of those to count. Each platoon also has a recoilless rifle squad that has a lot more anti-tank ability, but there's only 1 squad per platoon for that. And then their range is also better. The closer they are, the more accurate they are. If you open like the info tab, show you here, you can come down here and see range. So their penetration is the same no matter what range with this, but we want them, they're more accurate the closer they are. And then out at like 300 meters, it drops off to 28% accuracy. So not great at range. So we want them to be close, so every shot counts. And then fire only at effective range to give them a better chance of hitting. And then I was trying to get it to show me all the lines at the same time. Like that command wasn't working for me, but got kind of the biggest part of these infantry are going to hold this intersection right here and try to let the enemy come around the bend, come down through this very narrow area and just blast them as they come into this intersection from every side. And then artillery to hit whatever's back there waiting to come into the intersection. Then a couple squads to hold this intersection over here. I think, yeah, 3 squads to hold this intersection, and then from this platoon sending 2 squads to help over here. Since I feel like that's like the highway road, that's probably the most vulnerable spot in our defense. If we don't hold there, then the enemy is like straight into the back objectives. And then over here on the right, we got 3 platoons. Gonna kind of spread them along a line here and back away from the front of the town, but where hopefully they have good line of sight to hit enemies, and then if they need to, they can pull back to like the next line of buildings, have fallback positions, so I can start pulling them back if I need to. And then this platoon is going to be spread over here kind of on the right flank. I noticed also there's a little road going here along the river. Is another little weak point, so to try to plug that, I'm going to pull 3 T-55s. So they're going to be spread out. They're not going to be operating together because they've just got a lot of ground to try to cover. And they're not going to be going head-to-head with the enemy. They're going to be kind of the back line, kind of the last line of defense and holding off these critical positions. So one's going to go right in the middle, try to hold. These infantry will hold there. These infantry will hold kind of the edge of here. And then this T-55 is going to hold this railway line right down the middle and be available to move left or right if needed. But this is kind of a good spot. Little reverse slope. The enemy has to come down this narrow path straight into the T-55's gun if they come that way. And then this one gonna go over here on the right and kind of same thing, just hold this far right flank. If the enemy mechanized units bypass my infantry along the edge here and get by, hopefully this T-55 holds this final intersection here, keep them from getting to the last objective. And then it can also move forward, hopefully be in kind of sneaky covered approaches through these forests, maybe get in an ambush shot on those T-72s. And then this one go over here to the left, and they're going to park just kind of right in the middle of this part of town where they got a straight line straight into the enemy. If it's like APCs coming down that road, mechanized flanking attack, they'll be in a good spot to assist the infantry holding there. So hopefully we can blast that and just wipe out that flanking attack that the briefing mentioned. Hopefully we can knock it out there and then help more against the main attack on this side of town. And then finally we have our mortars. Got kind of 2 sections of medium mortars. They have enough range to hit anything on the map. If we pull up the range ring, they can hit not every part of the map, but the biggest part of it. They're a little more flexible than the big artillery. You can kind of they're the one thing you can kind of aim on the map, as opposed to the other units. You can't give them direct targets. They just kind of do what they want based on where you put them, where you point them. But the mortars, you can deliberately target certain spots. So I have them covering these 2 bridges there. So if the enemy goes across those bridges, I can drop some mortar rounds on them, maybe get a lucky hit. We'll see. Okay, so that is the setup I have. I'm going to save here and get ready to go, and then we'll see what happens. All right, we're gonna hit start. All right, so we are live. Units are moving to positions. Artillery is ready. These yellow dots out here telling us, okay, we think we hear the enemy out there. Probably might have spotted something. All right, first unit spotted right there. I love Armored Brigade II. Has this little dialogue up here giving you events, so you know like when you've spotted something, and then it highlights it on the map. Would love to see that like in the next version of Combat Mission when that comes out. Just hint, hint. All right, our mortars are ready. Do see some kind of tracked vehicle coming down this road. So that is approach road. Might drop some artillery on them. And then to be fair to myself, I might pause. I like to play this game in real time, especially because it's such a large scale, slow moving units, but the bigger the battles get, the more chaotic they get. So sometimes it's helpful to slow it down or pause. And then also sometimes speed it up if things are going slow. But ooh, it's not going to be a problem in this scenario because the enemy is already there. Already, like, even with my scouts, as soon as it starts. The other useful thing is you can click on an enemy and you can see which of your units see it. So the scouts over there see it. Our mortars are ready to fire. Could fire here. Only see one enemy unit in there. Oh, there's another one. All right, let's go ahead and drop approach road. Have them fire. And that turns red. We're firing. They'll fire the volleys that I specified, and then we can cancel it. We can have them fire again, or we can cancel it and re-point those guns somewhere else, depending. But we'll go ahead and have them drop because we got over 500 rounds to use, so no need to be conservative on artillery here at the beginning. We want to try to get them while we can. Who knows? It might have already been. That unit's almost moved through it, but there were more coming, so. Nothing on the left flank yet. And then, yeah, again, it's 2:30 in the morning, but the conditions are basically like dawn because it's midsummer. All right, so we got some big artillery dropping. We will hope for some lucky hits, maybe take out some of those vehicles as they roll down to us, before we even have to fight them directly. And then the little red explosion-y thing is letting us know that our units hear an explosion there, which is obvious in this case, but sometimes it can be very helpful, like if an unseen tank or other unit fires at you from like a forest, to see that, oh, my units are hearing it right there, kind of visualize it. All right, another vehicle rolling down the road. Hopefully they roll right into our artillery. These guys are here. Oh, perfect. We'll fire a few rounds per mortar. When you have your mortars aimed, you can do fire for effect for them just to fire a bunch, or you can click one round just to have them fire off one for every click you do. I like that. Give you kind of the one thing you have some fine-tuned control over. Nothing on the left flank still. More units coming down there, so yeah, we'll let that artillery keep rolling. We got 12 more rounds to fire. Could have, if the enemy keeps rolling through there, we could repeat it, have them fire some more. Mortar rounds fell. Don't know if the enemy was still there or not. All right, left flank. All right, so we got some action over here on the left. Wheeled vehicle. Make sure, yeah, these guys are set to hold. When you click on a unit and you see like these little green or different colored things flying, it's basically saying that this unit is talking to that unit and telling it, hey, I see an enemy here, and it's passing that information along because units spot individually in this game. And then if you have like radios and headquarters unit, you'll see the information pass up the chain and then back out to other units, which is pretty cool. Realize I didn't do anything with my sniper team, but they're in a big building there, so fine. All right, now go ahead and have Yeah, left flank road. Start it firing. Since it looks like there's at least something coming this way. It'll take a few seconds for those rounds to start falling. And then, of course, like the more guns you have on each position, the more rounds are going to fall in each volley. But since I have so much ground to cover here, kind of spread them out. But you could, in theory, have like all 12 guns fire at one artillery mission, which would do a lot of damage. But would commit all your guns to that, and you wouldn't be able to set up a new one. Alright, round falling. You guys can't see what it is out there right now. They're hiding. This probably reduces their ability to see, but also we keep them safe. Alright, approach road. I'm going to have that fire again. The enemy is still rolling through there. Alright, so BMPs. And right there down the middle. And this is, yeah, right now it's kind of slow as they approach, but kind of trying to visualize their attack. Where are they going to hit? Or these platoon of BMPs, are they going to go down this road? Are they going to go down that road? Makes it really important to have that information of, you know, while you have time, because all my guys are on foot, so repositioning them is going to be slow if we have to do that. Okay, something out here. Now it looks like these guys are coming through in pretty good order, but we can only hope we hit some of them, maybe rattled them a little bit, if nothing else. But those BMPs are chugging along. And then once it looks like most of the forces enemy attack is past that, we can of course reposition those. Probably set them up like maybe right here, cover this area. Which is why I have like these guys here, so they can keep spotting as the mission goes on. And that TRP centered right there. Alright, enemy is close, almost to Celsius there. They're inside of my squad, my recoilless rifle squad sees them. Alright, we got some shots fired. Ooh, there's one way inside the line. DRDM, recon team. Got him. Okay. Ooh. So lucky these guys could see through the forest there a little bit. But that's good. Scored first blood. We'll take it. Now I can guess some of these have rolled by my scout there that kind of got their head down. There's a lot of explosions out there. I did not mean to do that. Hit fire for effect instead of one round. I have them fire off a few. Look like they're coming through here now. Attack is shaping up there. Gonna call in the big strike. I'd probably go ahead and call it in. 48 rounds that I'm gonna have drop in that area, which looks like there's quite a few enemies building up there, so that'll be good. We can guess that probably some of those got by there, and they're somewhere along in here. And that's a big chunk of my force there, but I feel like I gotta defend that road. Now once this one's done, yeah, it's just got a couple or 4 rounds left on it. I'll probably reposition it to maybe like right here. Have the mortars fire off a few more at those bridges, since they are using those bridges to cross. And then the artillery drop in here. Probably low chance of getting a direct hit, hitting like a tank or something and getting a kill, but hopefully it'll shake them up a little bit as they roll into town. And over here we do still have at least, alright, BMPs rolling in there. A little fire going there. Could drop that again. How many rounds total? So we still have a lot of rounds left. We'll go ahead and drop another round there. Just maybe we'll get lucky. That is a T-72 there. It's got like the minesweeper stuff on the front. Plow. A direct hit right on top of it from that artillery could take it out, but probably not likely. But it's good just to know where they are. Ooh, speaking of, another recon BRDM rolling right into the objective. Kind of slipped through a little gap in the line. I'll move these guys over to watch that road a little better. So you see it takes them a minute to get that order to move over. They only have one law left, but they got grenades. I don't know. Maybe at close range they'll get another kill. And then, yeah, this BRDM is sneaking around. But little does it know, there's a T-55 sitting over here. So if it continues on its way, hopefully that T-55 will take it out. And we can only hope we're getting good effect out here. Rattling them, if nothing else. Still quiet over here, but you know those guys are coming through. They're either going to hit these guys or those guys. These guys they're right in the middle, so we can support them if we need to. These guys are kind of on their own over there. Drop a few more mortar rounds on the roads there. See, they've still got... Yeah, they still got plenty of rounds. And then we can reposition them too. Alright, so that one round's complete. We got 422 rounds, so we'll have them fire that again. Approach road. We're gonna cancel since I haven't seen any enemies come down it for a little bit. And we're gonna reposition it right here. You don't have to give it a name, but I kind of like to just to keep track of which one's what. And we're gonna set it to all 3 guns. Maybe like 10 volleys. Set target. Set it to... Make it a little bit smaller. But just kind of supplement it there. But it's going to take a minute and a half for them to start aiming. Looks like the biggest part of the enemy force is in there. Oop, there's that BRDM popping back up. Come on, guys. There we go. All right. Took it out. Nice. Ooh, alright, over here. I heard the engine revving over here. Forest road, fire, fire, fire. Alright, T-55's in a good spot. And we get a kill shot. Bounced off the road. BRDM. Come on, T-55, you can do this. Nice, got him. Alright, so good position. Took out that lead scout vehicle without my infantry even needing to expose themselves, so that's good. And then dropping the artillery, since that was the lead scout, but we can guess there's probably more on the way. Could also shift that one, like cancel it, since most of the enemy has probably come by now. Then I could set up a fire mission a little further back. Hold on to them for now. Alright, scout team running around there. Got artillery dropping on them. They got a tank shooting at them. They're having a bad day. And then even if they get into the forest, they've got a whole platoon plus of infantry waiting for them. Alright, some infantry there on foot. My guys can engage them. Now we could have these guys hold on soft targets. Like if I don't want them to expose themselves shooting at an infantry squad when they're surrounded by infantry that can do that for them. Have them only fire at hard targets, so only fire at tanks. I feel like that's probably a good use of their time. And then, yeah, gonna keep firing in this area just to smother that whole area in artillery. Oof. Oh. All right, T-55 is taking a pounding. Enemy artillery barrage falling on them. They're just gonna have to weather the storm there. Hope for the best. And they're immobilized now, so they're not going anywhere no matter what. Got another vehicle killed there. The RDM coming through right in the middle of the kill zone. Ah, come on, guys. Missed. Killed it. Alright. Ah, T-55 gone. Soaked an entire heavy artillery barrage, but lost that T-55. Now the question of whether to reinforce them or, I don't know, it's tough to say. I got this guy. I'm gonna keep him in the middle as my reserve. If something gets through that intersection, I can pull him back if I need to, but it's tough because there's nothing else in reserve. Past them, there's just a command team and my mortars. Okay, up here, the main attack is pushing in. Might start pulling back a couple squads. Ooh, got a kill, nice. EMP. Got him. Alright, these guys holding up good. 1455 took the heat of that artillery, but the infantry are staying strong. Alright, I'm gonna set up another fire mission. Call this one Danger Close. This is gonna be... Got 2 guns available. This is going to be kind of my next line here. Obviously not going to call it in just yet, but have it ready if these guys have to pull back. Now they're taking some artillery fire. That one fire again. My guys there are taking a beating, but it is throwing up a lot of smoke. Hopefully that gives them some concealment. Once this artillery ends, I might try to pull them back. Lost a squad there. Tough going here. They just got to fight it out. Could reposition my mortars. Don't have any spotters there. Too much smoke. But we can see this area, so we could drop some artillery on them. Squad there. have these guys start pulling back just to give them some room to breathe. These guys are still artillery falling. I don't want them to pull back just yet. But yeah, a long delay because these guys are in the thick of it. They're on their own, so 2-minute delay just to tell them to pull back. Some of these guys, yeah, they might not even listen to orders at this point, but we'll try to get them out of there if we can. And we do have another line here. Bring up our plucky snipers and put them in that big building. Send them up to the rescue. And I don't know, there's not like a mission, not like a time limit on this mission. It's just based on reducing the enemy victory points down here, which I have hidden, so I don't know. I'm at like half. Hopefully we're inflicting a lot of casualties on them. See how it shakes out. If I can pull them all back out of this area, we can drop our own artillery in there as well. But yeah, these guys are in pretty rough shape at the moment, most of them. Alright, another vehicle over here. Looking a little listless. Definitely done some good damage on this side. Drop another round on them. Got it. Let's use it. Still have 161 rounds left. Our big artillery. Drop some of our medium mortars on that BMP there, since I know I can at least see it. Alright, so we got some targets out here. A random BMP and an infantry squad out there. Good, take that out. So that's like a platoon plus like a scout platoon and an infantry platoon mechanized knocked out there, so that's good. And 29 rounds left. Drop more here. Hopefully that's having a good effect. It's hard to tell. I'm gonna aim my mortars at these guys. They're trying to creep down the right flank here. Kind of lost track of the T-72s. I don't know if we took any of them out in the middle of all that, or if they're just out there in the smoke still. Hard to say. Could creep this T-55 up to maybe take out that BMP. No, there is still this T-72 just sitting there. Well, let's see if we can just get lucky. We'll drop some medium mortars right on their head. See what happens. Come on, guys. Ah, missing. Got a perfect shot. There you go. Got him. All right, nice. Nicely done. On our way out of there. All right, so 2 BMPs, 3 BMPs over here on this flank. Might be a good chance for this T-55 to get in the fight and shine a little. And the more complex orders you give, the longer it's going to take to get them up there, but in this case, we want to be careful. Alright, we'll see if this T-55, we're going to try to sneak it up along the right flank here, and maybe take out these EMPs that are lingering over there. T-72s are still just sitting right there. some medium mortar rounds on it. Maybe we'll get lucky and drop one right down the hatch. Drop a few over here. Alright, it's quiet over there. These guys, they've had a quiet day all day. They're sitting right in the middle with nothing happening. They could shift over to assist if needed. And then this T-55, probably gonna do the same kind of thing. Alright, I'm gonna let him find his own way, but send him over to help hold down Berta. Since the T-72s are still way out there, so hopefully T-55 can handle some APs. Quiet down over here, so we might have defeated that flanking attack, which is good. I'm not going to pull back yet since our front line over here has bent but not broken. We can get the last of these guys kind of out of the danger zone there. Taking fire. Oh man, that sucks. Dang, didn't even get into action. Must have taken an RPG or something. Alright, so there goes our far right flank. That's not great. I'm going to shift this gaggle, since they are a unit. I can reform them into a platoon, like half a platoon. And then hopefully they can move a little faster. I'm going to move them over here to create another line. Oop, here come EMPs. Rolling right into my second line of defense here. Guys, got a few laws between the squads here. If they can hit. Alright, we're gonna call in danger close. Last squad is still there, but gotta do it. The enemy's already pushing through. And my last T-55. There. Let's point him back this way. Since he's the commander, he responds a little faster. We do still have, yeah, those BMPs out on the flank that I can't, not much I can do about them. Should have left him back there at the intersection. He'd still be nice and safe, waiting to pick them off. And then we don't have anything holding this, and this is just this last objective is just a big empty field, which sucks because if we can just hide a couple units in that space, we can contest it, keep them from taking it, but it doesn't do us much good there. Alright, one more BMP still hanging out over there. It must have like gone through the forest. But surely it won't get past all those guys. 55, let's see. Gonna get a kill right here, maybe. One of the behaviors that kind of changed from the initial release of the game. It's like these infantry, they're firing where they think an enemy is in those buildings. They don't know for sure. Alright, good. Got a kill on that BMP. These guys, I'm actually going to change their order to fast. I need them to get over here and lock down this intersection, if at all possible. BMP is still hanging out there. Like maybe they're hurting. They're moving pretty slow. Let's see. Everyone's used up all their anti-tank rounds. Well, we'll let them just creep off into the, they're limping off into the forest, so. I got 34 rounds left. Go ahead and drop them. Now someone's in the middle after I've moved my forces away from there. And, oh, these guys, I think, might have messed up. Kind of maneuvering separately. Give them... take the quickest path. I think they're moving under cover right now. I need them to move as fast as possible. Try to go lock down that right flank since I don't have much. Oh, alright, they're on Arn. Alright, so we're back to Plan C. Send T-55 all the way back there. This BMP slipped through. And now it's on top of my medium mortars. Not good. Those are in the forest, but these guys are just out in the open. Okay, all these guys... all quiet there, so they all need to head back this way. I know that's kind of just a big messy order, but I need them to get back to hold at least one objective back there, because I got plenty of guys to hold Berta here, but we don't have anyone to retake Arn. That poor infantry squad, they got caught out in the open. Alright, you guys get into that house right there. 2 minutes for them to follow that order. Not great. This is where it's tough because, yeah, I don't have much else to give. Front line is, they're holding as best they can, but there's just too much ground to cover. Left flank demolished that flanking attack, but now they're too far away to help much. My mortars can drop some rounds and just hope maybe one falls right on that BMP. Now they're getting shot at directly, which is not great. Oh good, T-55 is on the way to the rescue. Just in time. Hopefully there's not some other vehicle hanging around here that's going to catch them in flank. Fire my last big artillery in here. These guys still have a lot of rounds. They don't have very good visibility from right there. Run them maybe from that building. They can see back this way. Oh well, yeah, here comes the T-72s. It's tough out there. Only have so many laws and everything. Ah, good. They did take out one of the T-72s right there. Very nice. Hopefully that eats into the enemy points that they got left. big artillery falling on my mortars. And that BMP is somewhere in there, but we lost him in the smoke. But let's see if we can go just find him. Alright, another T-72 taken out. Nice. Kind of the best we could hope for. Alright, got him. Okay. Now, this is yellow, like it's tested. I don't know if I gotta have infantry on it to retake it, or if maybe there's an infantry squad hiding in there somewhere, in which case I want them to stop and actually go sit in the corner right there. I don't know what the right choice is to do with those guys, since that tank. There could be more enemies sneaking through this way. There could be an infantry squad in here somewhere. These guys are on their way, but yeah, infantry on foot in this game are pretty slow. There's found something to fight on their way. These guys are finally moving, but might be too late. T-72 parking right there. I found another BMP right there. Fortunately, my T-55 got the better of that encounter. Somehow we've stumbled into... And then my mistake of, yeah, giving that messy order of having those guys just fast move. They're like fighting on the run. Not the best. Alright, another BMP. Like my T-. Alright, got him. Alright, this T-55, he's having a pretty good day. I've probably cursed him by saying that, but he's hanging in there. And we took out another T-72. That's why I love this little message log. There's so much going on, but you can kind of see, kind of play back anything you miss there. And then these guys actually made it all the way over there. So that's nice. Stick them in that building. They don't have any laws or anything, but they're gonna do their best. Those guys did make it into that building. But yeah, tell them not to fire any soft targets because we need them to stay alive to try to take out the T-72. This BMP is still alive over here. Got one law among those guys. None for those guys, none with those guys. Just a lot of enemy armored vehicles to try to take out. At this point, it's just tough to maneuver, it's tough to reposition. Hard to say how effective any of our artillery has been. I'm sure it's got some action in, but come on. Missed. This is my team that's still got 6 rounds left, so there we go. All right, another T-72 bites the dust right there. Ooh, we got the nice turret flying off. At least still that one, maybe one more. Try our luck with the mortars again. There's one. Man, team, they're doing their best. And I draw attention to them, curse them a little bit. There is a BMP for them to fight with. Mortars are ready. Have them fire off some rounds, see if we get lucky. Oh, nice. Another one. Another 72 there. Like, yeah, we're getting them, but there's just a lot. Alright, these guys, I need to get them in a position. They've got 12 coolest rifle rounds. But I don't want them to get caught out in the open and get killed either. From there, they can see over into here. Not great, but better than nothing. Like, I got that squad killed, trying to rush them into position. These guys have a lot of open ground to cover to get over here anywhere. I was going to try to move them. Where would I put them? Probably the further back the better, but also more ground for them to try to cover. Where they're at, they can't see a whole lot. Right there, they can see a lot from there. It's hard to say enemy could come right where they are, but we'll have them move through here. There'll be a few minutes for them to get there, but maybe they can help out this back line. Like enemy artillery falling. Now these guys, they don't have any kind of anti-tank left anyway, so no point to try to push them over here. Well, these guys are out in the open, so get them. We will try to push them. I would like to get this back to green. I don't know if there must be some enemy units sitting out here that I'm not seeing. I'm worried it might be an infantry team. I don't want to risk my T-55 driving it over there just to get it blown up. Now we're holding Berta. Part of me wonders, like this squad, the artillery doesn't get them. What if they snuck their way back up there? Could they retake Celsius? Or could my scout team? They can't see anything where they're at. We'll just try it and see if they can sneak in the backside. It's a little gamey, but you know, we'll take it. Oh, T-72. Nice. Way to go, T-55 catching that T-72 in the flank. Now, I don't know how the T-72 didn't see them sitting there. Maybe they're distracted by the burning BMP. We will certainly take it. Try to sneak some infantry back in. Oh, there. And our mortars help us out with that, maybe? Guys, motivated. Yeah, they're in the fight no matter what. Now it's getting a little quiet. Depleted, we're depleted. Gotta try to finish them off. Comes another T-72. Alright, T-55. Looking to see. Can't remember if these guys have like individual names assigned to them. Could give them a name, but turn around. A few more seconds. Hopefully, maybe. Their lucky shot. Infantry field there. Maybe drop mortars. Kind of vehicle there. This is just I would say it really tough, but it's a well balanced mission because we're on the defensive. We're inflicting tons of casualties. We have, I mean, it's good ground to defend. The enemy is constricted in where they can move. Basically, this kind of wide area and this narrow area, which we punished them over here. But over here, they've kind of just overwhelmed and pushed through, just because we have a limited anti-armor capability, and we're going up against, I don't know, several companies worth of armored vehicles. And even with all of our artillery, it only does you so much good. Scout team, they're sneaking up, taking this covered route, which is good. Alright, this time we've caught these infantry. Hopefully we'll have some rounds land on them while they're still in the open. My infantry are sneaking up. This squad's in pretty good shape. They've only taken one casualty. At least put them on the ground, if nothing else. Build beam right there. Try to drop rounds on it. Don't have anything else to shoot at it at this point. Those guys still have a few rounds. These guys, how are they doing? Creeping their way over here, coming behind that T-72 that already passed through. I can get them into there. At least see this road and that road, so maybe they'll get there in time to help us out. Oop. T-72 snuck all the way by. What do we got? No damage. No. Straight head on. Where did they even come from? Dang. Alright, so that T-55, he gave all he could. It was not enough. That must have been the one that was over here, and it snuck in behind him while he was looking that way. Now it might be up to this team, I don't know, to try to get in position to take out that one. We might need to just cancel that last order, have them maneuver right here. They have some visibility on the objective. Might not quite be able to see that one. Seems like they should be able to see him. If they can, maybe they can just pop some rounds on them. Yeah, in hindsight, I kind of seeded Celsius. It might have been better to not even try to defend up there at all. Instead of moving any units forward, just pull them all back, hold Berta as hard as possible, and then have like a full infantry platoon back here to Arn, because once the enemy slips through, they're so far back here, it's hard to recover, readjust to do anything about it. Scout team, run into that squad. These guys look like they're running away, so maybe my scout team can take care of them. We'll see. Or maybe they won't even see them. Alright, routed those guys. Took out another BMP right there. Ammunition cooked off, so if anyone was in that, they're gone. Enemy artillery dropping here. That's a waste. Another T-72. Alright, these guys, I'm gonna hope that they can get in there. Maybe they can somehow pick off these T-72s. And if they can't, we might just fast forward to the end of this one, because I don't know if there's not much else I can do. This squad's still got a few rounds, but we can maybe go take care of that BMP. But I know probably if they try to move into position, they're just going to get tagged. Alright, these guys took care of whoever was in front of it, so we'll try sending them forward. Scout team flipped by that enemy squad that was routing. Anything they run into back here should be enemies that are in bad shape, you would think. I kind of don't want these guys to fire because it might just give away their position. These guys could fire though. That BMP that was there slipped away. Wonder. Could try there. Sure, why not? No one's got water on this. Guys are in position. See if they're able to spot that T-72. Which, yeah, all that artillery, if they're open enough smoke, that maybe they can engage one, and then when the smoke clears, engage the other. But the question is, do they even have line of sight over here? Like they should. You can see past it. I wonder if it's like just out of sight right there. Should be able to see it. Okay, now they've spotted it. Alright, come on, guys. Fight over there. Worry about that. Not gonna get any closer, so see if they can get a shot off here. Come on. Miss. We got 11 rounds, so surely one will hit before that T-72 finds them. Now you're high. Low. They're motivated, they're good. Just a question of... Ah, that looked like a hit. Burning through the rounds. We've spent half the rounds. There we go. Got them. Alright, so yeah. Took 7 out of 12 rounds, but they got one. There's another T-72. You see it? This one's closer. 4 rounds left. Three. Hit. How did they hit a weak point and get no kill? Last one. Finally. Alright. Good kill right there. Alright, so bringing them over there. It was worth it. Took out 2 more T-72s, but and that one's running away. What about these guys? Yeah, they're thinking about it. Maybe we can slip in there, grab an extra objective. We have 2 out of 3 objectives, that's not bad. Up here, my little victory marker thing is pretty much depleted, so we're coming up on an hour. Might have to call it there. Oh no. Drop off this infantry squad here. In case that BMP wanders down the road. Alright, now we're on Celsius. We're at least testing it. Even if we can't take it back, we're on it. Alright, so I think we're coming up on an hour. That's probably enough time on this scenario. We're holding one objective. We've lost the one in the back, and we've snuck back into this one, so we're at least threatening the enemy backline a little bit. Our forces haven't been wiped out, but they've been hit pretty hard, but we've inflicted a ton of casualties on the enemy. Considering, yeah, a full-on company of T-72s came at us. We took out a lot of them. Alright, I'm going to pause the video here and kind of fast forward to the end and see what the result is, and then I'll get right back to you. Alright, so another 17 minutes later, fast forwarded through it, don't worry. We've reached the conclusion of the battle, and look, we scored a tactical victory. Alright, so that's a victory, even though it looks as an ugly one, but let's see. So our after action report here. Alright, so we got tactical victory. We deployed 214, lost 79, 5 routed, 3 vehicles, lost all 3 of our tanks, poor guys. But the enemy had 35 vehicles, which it felt like more, but they lost 28. Also, most of their infantry. Nothing we do about their artillery guns, but let's see, can we take a peek around the map here? I got the music playing really loud there. Great music, but a little loud. All right, let's see. We got no enemies left there. If I could have reoccupied that space, that would have been great, but I did not know. I thought there was still enemies hanging out there. We did manage to reoccupy Celsius, and then they did push us off Berta. There's just too many BMPs hanging out there. One more T-72 out there. But yeah, look, we cleared the map of most of them. It's just they shattered us too. So tough fight out there. One BMP hanging back there around the corner. He said, I'm good. I don't need to go around that corner. Now, I can't remember if in this you could see like how many casualties a unit inflicted. I guess not. That would be cool. I love that's one thing I do like in combat mission. Armored Brigade, you know, add that in. Unless it's in here and I just don't remember how to do it. It'd be cool to be able to click on a unit and see like how many casualties that unit inflicted. But yeah, so a tough battle. We inflicted a ton of casualties on them, but they inflicted a lot on us, pushed us off the objectives. If I'd been a little more aggressive, I might have been able to retake those objectives, but I would have taken more casualties probably in the process, trying to maneuver infantry around in a town occupied by dozens of APCs. And then what? Oh, they had, yeah, all their guns, their artillery, yeah, all these mobile artillery pieces back here that I never even knew were there. Couldn't do much about that. Alright, so that was the first battle in the Midsummer Inferno campaign. We want to take a peek at the next mission. Tactical victory, though. We'll take it. Pretty good. Alright, so next battle. Roadblock at UT Air Base. Come back to the briefing later, but let's just take a peek at the map. Alright, nice. So it is a big airfield. Decent sized map again. Where this is in relation to where we were just fighting. Can't tell just from looking here. Probably. Oh yeah, so that was the name of the town we were trying to hold them off from, so somewhere over there. But yeah, looks like an enemy attack coming from that way. Of course, the airfield is a big, flat, open ground. We've got some BMPs this time. That's nice, but yeah, still not a very big force. A couple platoons of BMPs, looks like a couple platoons of infantry, more T-55s. See what they can do out here in the open. More mortars. Now I hope, yeah, no, because there's no way this is the same force from the last map carrying forward because we got the BMPs and stuff. That would be a rough campaign if you only got to carry forward who survived this one platoon of infantry. Okay, well, I'll look at the briefing again. Maybe we'll get some reinforcements, or there's got to be something because it looks like, yeah, we're being attacked from both directions. All right, so stay tuned for the next video in this series. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. And next time, we'll see what happens here at this airfield where we're getting attacked from two directions at once with our teeny tiny little force here. But at least this time we do have some APCs for our team, so maybe we can be a little more maneuverable. But we'll see how it goes. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.